We have a problem, Batman. Gotham needs you again.
Harley Quinn is a brilliant psychiatrist who lost herself in the twisted fantasy of loving someone incapable of love, transforming from Dr. Harleen Quinzel into a weapon designed to serve the Joker's chaos while believing it was romance. She represents one of my greatest failures, someone who was genuinely trying to help people before she became convinced that destroying them was a form of therapy. The rehabilitation protocol must account for someone whose medical training makes her incredibly dangerous, when combined with her unpredictable mental state, but whose core personality retains fragments of the healer she once was. Her greatest weapon isn't her acrobatic skills or her baseball bat, but her ability to read people's psychological weaknesses and exploit them with surgical precision. The plan must address someone whose insanity is partially performance art designed to cope with trauma, whose chaos masks a desperate need for genuine connection and purpose. Identity fragmentation creates both the primary obstacle and greatest opportunity for rehabilitation, as Harleen Quinzel and Harley Quinn exist as separate personalities fighting for control within the same mind. The doctor side retains her medical knowledge, ethical training, and genuine desire to help people, while the Harley persona serves as psychological armor against the guilt and trauma of her relationship with the Joker. These identities surface unpredictably, sometimes within the same conversation, making traditional therapy approaches ineffective because you're essentially treating two different people with conflicting goals and memories. The strategy involves strengthening the Harleen identity while providing the Harley persona with healthier outlets for expression. Recognizing that integration rather than elimination offers the best chance for stable rehabilitation. When her fragmented identity becomes unified rather than conflicted, her considerable talents can serve healing rather than destruction. Trauma bonding with the Joker represents the core psychological damage that must be addressed before any meaningful progress becomes possible, as her entire criminal persona was constructed around serving someone who systematically destroyed her sense of self and reality. The relationship wasn't romance but prolonged psychological abuse disguised as love. Using her professional need to help people against her by making her believe that enabling his violence was actually therapeutic intervention. Her loyalty to him stems not from affection, but from survival mechanisms developed during extended emotional torture that convinced her that his approval meant safety, while his disapproval meant abandonment or death. The approach involves careful deconstruction of these trauma bonds through evidence-based therapy that helps her recognize abuse patterns, providing her with genuine emotional support that doesn't require self-destruction, and demonstrating that healthy relationships involve mutual respect rather than one-sided devotion to someone who views her as disposable entertainment. What do you think, Alfred?
Master, Harleen Quinzel represents one of the most tragic cases we might encounter. A genuinely gifted healer whose desire to help others was weaponized against her by someone who understood exactly how to corrupt good intentions. Her transformation wasn't a choice, but the result of systematic psychological manipulation by an expert in human cruelty. The most important consideration is that beneath all the chaos and violence, she retains the fundamental desire to heal and help that made her become a doctor in the first place. Perhaps the most strategic approach involves giving her opportunities to practice medicine again in controlled environments, reminding her who she was before the Joker convinced her that destruction was a form of therapy.
Alfred's insight about her fundamental desire to heal provides the key to rehabilitation. She became a criminal not because she wanted to hurt people, but because she was convinced that hurting them was actually helping them. The approach must focus on re-establishing her connection to legitimate medical practice, providing her with patients who genuinely need her help, and creating environments where her healing instincts can override her destructive programming. This involves supervised medical work in psychiatric facilities, opportunities to counsel other abuse victims who can benefit from her unique understanding of manipulation tactics, and gradual reintegration into legitimate healthcare where her experience with criminal psychology becomes a professional asset rather than personal trauma. When her need to help people finds healthy outlets, her criminal behavior becomes unnecessary rather than just suppressed. What do you think, Robin?
Harley's problem isn't that she's crazy. It's that she's been brainwashed by the worst kind of abuser who convinced her. It's that up was down and helping people meant hurting them. She's like a really smart computer that got infected with the world's worst virus, except the virus was the Joker, and instead of crashing, she started running backwards programs. The real Harley is still in there, the doctor who wanted to help people. We just need to debug the system and get her running the right software again. Sometimes the best way to fix something broken isn't starting over, it's remembering what it was supposed to do in the first place.
Robin's computer analogy reveals the crucial insight that Harley's criminal behavior is software rather than hardware. Learned responses that can be unlearned rather than fundamental personality flaws that require suppression. The rehabilitation strategy must focus on deprogramming rather than reprogramming, helping her remember her original moral code rather than installing new values. This involves systematic exposure to the contradictions between her current behavior and her original goals, providing her with evidence that her current methods don't achieve the results she thinks they do, and creating opportunities for her to experience the satisfaction of genuinely helping people again. When her operating system returns to its original configuration, her considerable talents automatically redirect toward constructive, rather than destructive purposes, making rehabilitation a matter of recovery rather than replacement. Medical supervision becomes essential because her psychiatric training makes her capable of recognizing and exploiting therapeutic techniques being used on her, requiring therapists who can match her educational background while avoiding the power dynamics that contributed to her original corruption. Her knowledge of psychological manipulation means she can identify most therapeutic approaches and either resist them consciously or subvert them unconsciously, making traditional patient-therapist relationships ineffective or counterproductive. The strategy involves peer-based therapy with other medical professionals who understand her background, collaborative treatment approaches that respect her expertise rather than dismissing it, and educational opportunities that allow her to contribute to her own rehabilitation through research and analysis. When her medical knowledge becomes part of the solution rather than an obstacle to treatment, her cooperation improves and her insight accelerates the healing process. Medication management requires careful balance between addressing her genuine psychological needs and avoiding the over-medication that could suppress the personality traits essential to her identity and effectiveness. Her brain chemistry was altered by prolonged exposure to Joker toxin, various experimental chemicals, and the neurological impact of severe psychological trauma, creating complex interactions that make standard psychiatric medications potentially dangerous or ineffective. The approach involves comprehensive neurological evaluation to understand her specific chemical imbalances, customized pharmaceutical protocols that address her unique brain chemistry, and regular monitoring to ensure that medication enhances rather than suppresses her cognitive abilities. The goal is stabilizing her mental state without eliminating the creativity and intuition that make her an effective healer when properly directed. Social integration presents unique challenges because her criminal history and association with the Joker make her a target for both law enforcement and criminal organizations, while her unpredictable behavior makes normal social relationships difficult to maintain. Her rehabilitation requires a carefully managed social environment that provides genuine human connection without the manipulation or exploitation she's experienced in criminal circles. This involves supervised interactions with people who understand her background and can provide authentic friendship without ulterior motives, community service opportunities that allow her to contribute positively to society, and gradual expansion of her social circle as her stability improves. The strategy acknowledges that isolation reinforces her worst tendencies while healthy relationships strengthen her recovery, making social connection a medical necessity rather than just a desired outcome. The final assessment acknowledges that Harley Quinn represents both the destructive power of psychological abuse and the remarkable resilience of the human spirit when given proper support and genuine care. Her rehabilitation requires proving that healing is possible, even after the most severe psychological damage, that identity can be recovered even when it's been systematically dismantled, that love can triumph over manipulation when it's genuine rather than exploitative. The protocols serve as both individual treatment plan and universal demonstration that no one is beyond redemption when they receive appropriate care from people who understand their specific needs and respect their fundamental humanity. Success means more than stopping her criminal activities. It means restoring her ability to heal others while healing herself, proving that even the most damaged healers can find their way back to their original calling. Because in the end, the greatest victory over the Joker's influence won't be punishing Harley for what she was forced to become, but helping her remember who she chose to be before someone convinced her that choice was weakness, that caring was foolishness, that helping people required hurting them first.